Rich widower visits orphanage and find out the smile of his dead son in a young man. Hello. You are very welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Nathaniel Carter stood in the grand foyer of his mansion, the afternoon sun streaming through the tall windows, casting a warm glow on the polished marble floors. The opulence of his home felt hollow, a stark contrast to the emptiness in his heart. He walked slowly towards a wall adorned with framed photographs, his eyes gravitating toward a particular picture of his son, Daniel, taken during one of their beach trips. In the image, Daniel's face was lit with pure joy, his laughter almost audible even in the silence of the room. "Why did you have to leave me?" Nathaniel whispered to the stillness, his voice barely more than a breath. The walls seemed to absorb his sorrow, offering no comfort. He brushed his fingers over the glass frame, feeling the coolness against his skin, and closed his eyes, allowing the memories to wash over him. The laughter, the playful splashes of water, the way Daniel would run up to him with sand on his cheeks, exclaiming, "Look, Dad, I built the biggest castle." But now, all that remained was an echo of his son's laughter, a haunting reminder of the life that had once filled the space around him. Each day felt like an endless cycle of solitude, and Nathaniel was tired of being ensnared in his grief. He felt trapped in a gilded cage, surrounded by luxury that no longer held any meaning. With a sudden resolve, Nathaniel turned away from the photos and walked towards the door. "I need to do something," he muttered, almost to himself. He grabbed his coat, the fabric heavy in his hands, and stepped out into the crisp air. The world outside was alive, bustling with people who seemed to have a purpose, a direction. He felt like a ghost among the living, invisible and forgotten. He drove through the city, the streets alive with the colors of autumn. As he passed shops and cafes, laughter and chatter filled the air, but they only served to amplify his sense of isolation. Where could he find solace? As if guided by an unseen force, he found himself turning into the driveway of the local orphanage. Nathaniel had never been one to involve himself in charitable causes. He had always kept his distance, believing that his wealth could never replace the love of a family. But today, something felt different. Perhaps it was the whisper of Daniel's spirit urging him to seek connection, to give rather than just receive. As he stepped out of the car, the sounds of children playing drifted towards him. He hesitated at the entrance, watching through the window as a group of children chased each other, their laughter ringing like chimes in the wind. A pang of nostalgia hit him hard. They reminded him of Daniel at that age, alive with curiosity and mischief. Pushing the door open, Nathaniel was immediately greeted by an explosion of energy. Children rushed past him, their faces painted with joy, their footsteps echoing against the wooden floors. A caretaker approached him, a warm smile lighting her face. "Welcome. We don't often see visitors here. Are you looking to volunteer?" Yes," Nathaniel replied, his voice a bit shaky. I just wanted to help, I suppose." The caretaker's smile widened. "That's wonderful. We can always use more hands around here, especially for the art program. The kids love to create." Nathaniel nodded, though he felt a wave of apprehension wash over him. Art was not something he had ever engaged with, not since Daniel had shown a passion for it. But something about the excitement in the room tugged at his heartstrings. "Come, let me introduce you to the kids," she said, leading him into a brightly lit room filled with colorful drawings pinned to the walls and paintbrushes strewn across tables. Nathaniel felt a flicker of hope as the children turned their attention to him. "Who's this?" one little girl asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Nathaniel, and he's here to help us," the caretaker replied enthusiastically. As Nathaniel looked around, he felt a strange sense of belonging, even in his unfamiliarity. The children were vibrant, full of life. But as he scanned the room, one face caught his attention. A boy sitting quietly in the corner, sketching intently. There was something about him that sparked a memory, a familiarity that stirred Nathaniel's heart. "Hi there," Nathaniel said softly, approaching the boy. "What are you drawing?" The boy looked up, his big brown eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and shyness. "Just something I imagined," he replied, a hint of a smile breaking through his initial reserve. Nathaniel knelt down beside him, his heart racing. "Can I see?" With a nod, the boy turned the sketchbook towards Nathaniel, revealing a beautiful depiction of a sprawling landscape, vibrant and alive. "It's a place I'd like to visit one day," he said, a quiet determination in his voice. Nathaniel felt a warmth spread through him, a flicker of connection igniting. "I think it's wonderful. I believe you can go there someday," he encouraged, feeling an unexpected surge of hope. In that moment, Nathaniel realized he had stumbled upon something he had been searching for. An opportunity to connect, to give, and perhaps to heal. Nathaniel Carter stood at the entrance of the orphanage, the scent of fresh paint and laughter wafting through the air. The cheerful sounds of children playing felt foreign to him, a stark contrast to the hollow silence that filled his mansion. Dressed in a tailored suit, he felt out of place, as if he were an intruder in a world he no longer belonged to. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the visit, hoping to find some semblance of purpose in this vibrant environment. As he stepped inside, his eyes scanned the room, landing on a cluster of children drawing on the floor with colorful crayons. Their laughter echoed through the hallways, but Nathaniel felt a pang of sadness mixed with longing. He had once shared such moments with his son, Daniel, before life had taken him away. It was in that moment of bittersweet nostalgia that Nathaniel's gaze fell upon a boy sitting alone in a corner, his small fingers deftly sketching on a piece of paper. The boy looked up, revealing bright blue eyes that sparkled with creativity and a hint of mischief. Nathaniel felt an inexplicable connection to him. There was something about the boy's smile, the way it reminded him so much of Daniel, that tugged at Nathaniel's heartstrings. He approached cautiously, kneeling beside the boy to get a better look at what he was drawing. "What's that you're working on?" Nathaniel asked gently, trying to keep his voice light. The boy glanced at him, a shy smile creeping onto his face. "It's a dragon," he replied, enthusiasm bubbling under his bashfulness. "It's the biggest and fiercest dragon in the world." Nathaniel leaned closer, intrigued. "Really? What does it look like?" The boy's eyes lit up as he explained. "It has bright green scales and wings as big as a house, and it can breathe fire." His small hands animatedly gestured as if the dragon were soaring through the air, flames erupting from its mouth. "That sounds amazing," Nathaniel said, his heart warming at the boy's passion. "My name is Nathaniel. What's yours?" "Sam," the boy replied, his shyness melting away under Nathaniel's kind gaze. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to see how I could help," Nathaniel admitted, sensing a shift within himself. "I used to love art when I was younger. Do you like to draw?"
Sam nodded vigorously.
"I want to be an artist when I grow up." Nathaniel felt a surge of connection, a familiar longing. "I think you can be, Sam. You have a gift. Would you like me to help you with your drawings?" The boy's eyes widened with excitement, and for a moment, Nathaniel caught a glimpse of the boy he had once been, full of dreams and possibilities. "Really? You'd help me?" "Of course," Nathaniel replied, feeling a smile break through the shadows of his grief. "Why don't we start with some new materials? I could bring you some paints and canvases next time." Sam's face lit up, and he grinned widely. "That would be awesome. I can't wait to show you more of my drawings." As they talked, Nathaniel realized that their conversation was not just about art. It was a bridge between two worlds, one filled with loss and another brimming with hope. The boy's enthusiasm was infectious, and Nathaniel felt a spark of purpose ignite within him. "Do you have any other dreams, Sam?" Nathaniel asked, genuinely curious. "I want to create a mural for the orphanage," Sam said, his voice brimming with ambition. "Something that makes everyone feel happy, like a rainbow or a forest full of animals." Nathaniel's heart swelled. "That's a wonderful idea. We could work on it together. You can teach me too, and we can make it the best mural ever." Sam beamed at Nathaniel, his joy palpable. You really think we can? I know we can, Nathaniel replied, feeling a newfound determination. In that moment, he understood that he wasn't just helping Sam. He was helping himself, rediscovering the joy that had been lost with Daniel. Their conversation continued, filled with ideas and laughter, as Nathaniel realized that perhaps he was not as alone as he had felt. In Sam, he saw a reflection of the love he had for his son, and in turn, he felt the warmth of a budding friendship that held the promise of healing for both of them. Nathaniel had been visiting the orphanage regularly for a few weeks now, driven by an unexpected sense of purpose. Each visit felt like a small step toward healing, a way to channel the pain of his loss into something meaningful. Sam had quickly become the focal point of those visits. Nathaniel watched as the boy transformed with each interaction, his eyes lighting up at the sight of new art supplies or an encouraging word. On one particular afternoon, Nathaniel arrived at the orphanage with an armful of colorful paints and canvases. The moment he entered, he was greeted by the sounds of laughter and the shuffling of small feet. Children raced around him, their joy contrasting starkly with the somber atmosphere of his mansion. Yet, even amidst the chaos, Nathaniel's gaze was drawn to Sam, who was sitting at a small table, sketching intently. "Hey there, Sam," Nathaniel called out, his voice a mix of warmth and excitement. Sam looked up, his eyes widening. "Mr. Carter, you came." He jumped from his seat, nearly knocking over a jar of brushes in his enthusiasm. Nathaniel chuckled, setting the supplies down. "Of course. I brought you some new things to play with. I thought we could create something amazing together today." "Really?" Sam's face broke into a wide grin, the kind that reminded Nathaniel so much of his late son, Daniel. "What do you want to paint?" "Let's find out," Nathaniel replied, handing Sam a fresh canvas. "Why don't you start with what inspires you?" As they began to work side by side, Nathaniel felt a warmth spreading through his chest, a sensation he hadn't experienced in years. The two men painted in comfortable silence, the only sounds being the soft brush strokes and the occasional giggle from the other children. However, the moment was abruptly interrupted when Julia, Nathaniel's assistant, entered the room, her brow furrowed with concern. "Nathaniel, can I speak with you for a moment?" she asked, her voice low enough to avoid disturbing the children. Nathaniel glanced at Sam, who was engrossed in his painting, before stepping aside with Julia. "What's going on?" he asked, his tone shifting to one of seriousness. "I'm worried about you," Julia said, crossing her arms. "I know you're trying to help these kids, but you're getting too close to Sam, and I think it's a mistake. You're still healing, and this connection might just reopen old wounds." Nathaniel shook his head, irritation creeping into his voice. "You don't understand, Julia. Sam is not just a reminder of my past. He's a chance for a new beginning. I need this connection." "But at what cost?" Julia pressed. "You can't just replace Daniel. It's not fair to you or to Sam." Nathaniel took a deep breath, the weight of her words pressing down on him. "I'm not trying to replace anyone. I just want to be part of something again, to help. Can't you see that?" Julia's expression softened, but her concern remained. "I just don't want to see you get hurt again. You need to be careful." "I appreciate your concern," Nathaniel replied, his voice firm but devoid of malice. "But I can handle this. I'm not going to back away from Sam or the other kids. They need me, and I need them." With that, he returned to the main room, where Sam was now painting a vibrant sunset, colors blending harmoniously on the canvas. Nathaniel couldn't help but smile at the boy's enthusiasm. He sat back down, picking up his own brush and joining in. "Sam," Nathaniel said, his voice gentle, "what do you want to create next?" Sam looked up, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I want to paint a tree. A big, strong tree that can hold all our dreams." Nathaniel nodded, feeling a swell of pride in his chest. "That sounds perfect. Let's make it the biggest tree the world has ever seen." As they painted together, Nathaniel felt the barriers around his heart begin to lower. Each stroke of the brush seemed to push away the shadows of his past, allowing new light to shine through. The worries Julia had voiced lingered in the back of his mind, but they were overshadowed by the joy he felt in this moment. "I think this tree should have a swing," Sam suggested, his creativity bubbling over. "So we can swing under it and have fun?" "Great idea," Nathaniel replied, his heart swelling. "A swing for all the kids. We can make it a place where everyone can come to dream and play." Hours slipped by as they lost themselves in the world of colors and imaginations. Nathaniel realized that this connection with Sam was not about replacing Daniel, but honoring his memory by nurturing the future. As they painted side by side, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of belonging. Nathaniel and Sam strolled through the park, the sun casting a warm glow on the vibrant green grass. The laughter of children echoed around them, but a blanket of solemnity hung over Nathaniel. He glanced sideways at Sam, who was skipping stones across a small pond. His face lit up with an innocent joy that reminded Nathaniel so much of his son, Daniel. It was a bittersweet reminder, one that tugged at his heartstrings. "Look at this one," Sam exclaimed, picking up a flat stone and tossing it expertly. The stone skimmed the water's surface, bouncing 3 times before sinking. "Did you see that?" Nathaniel smiled softly, his heart swelling with a mixture of pride and sadness. "That was impressive, Sam. You've got quite the talent for stone skipping." Sam beamed at the compliment, his cheeks flushing slightly. "Thanks. My dad used to take me here. We'd have contests to see who could skip the most stones." His voice faded, and he looked down, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Nathaniel felt a pang of empathy. "I miss my son, too," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Daniel loved this park. We used to come here every Sunday. It was our special place." He paused, searching for the right words. "I still feel him everywhere I go, but it's hard sometimes." Sam turned to Nathaniel, his eyes wide with understanding. "I know how that feels. I lost my parents when I was really young. I don't remember much, just that they loved me." He kicked a pebble into the pond, watching it splash. "I wish I could remember more." Nathaniel's heart ached for the boy. It's okay to not remember everything. What matters is the love you had, and that love will always be a part of you. Sam nodded thoughtfully, though a shadow crossed his face. "Sometimes, I feel so alone, like no one really gets it." He kicked another stone, this time harder, sending it flying across the pond. "But I like it when you come to see us. It feels like you care." Nathaniel took a deep breath, the sincerity in Sam's words hitting him like a wave.
Idoker, Sam.
"You've brought something back into my life that I thought was lost forever. You remind me of Daniel, and I see so much potential in you. You're talented, and I want to help you however I can." "Really?" Sam's eyes sparkled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. "You really want to help me with my art?" "Of course," Nathaniel replied, his voice firm. "Your dreams matter. I'll do everything I can to support you. We can work on your drawings together, and I can introduce you to some artists. You could even have your own show one day." A grin broke across Sam's face, a light shining through the clouds of his past. "That would be amazing. I've always wanted to have an art show. Do you really think I could?" "I believe in you," Nathaniel said, feeling a sense of warmth envelop him. "Art isn't just about talent. It's about expressing who you are. And you have a lot to say." As they continued their walk, their conversation flowed effortlessly. They shared stories about their lives, their dreams, and their losses. Nathaniel found himself opening up more than he had in years, sharing memories of Daniel and how much he had loved to paint. Sam listened intently, nodding as if he understood every word. "Sometimes, I think about what it would be like if my parents were here," Sam said quietly. "I wonder if they would be proud of me." "They would be," Nathaniel reassured him. "They would see your passion and your talent and be amazed by you, just like I am." For a moment, the weight of their shared losses seemed to lift, replaced by a fragile bond of understanding and friendship. Nathaniel felt a flicker of hope in his heart, a sense that perhaps he could heal alongside Sam. They were both searching for something, a connection, a family, and in that moment, they found solace in each other's company. As they walked back toward the orfanato, Nathaniel realized that little by little, the darkness in his heart was beginning to give way to the light of new beginnings. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of purpose blooming within him, a purpose kindled by the laughter and dreams of a young boy who, against all odds, was teaching him how to live again. Nathaniel stood in the vibrant art room of the orphanage, surrounded by the laughter and chatter of the children. The walls, once bare and dull, were now adorned with colorful paintings and drawings that expressed the boundless creativity of the young artists. It filled him with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. His gaze landed on Sam, who was diligently working on a canvas, his brow furrowed in concentration. Nathaniel could see the passion in the boy's eyes as he mixed colors, bringing his imagination to life. "Sam, that's coming along beautifully," Nathaniel exclaimed, walking over to the boy, who looked up with a bright smile. "Thanks, Mr. Carter," Sam replied, his voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "I'm trying to paint a sunset. I want to make it look as bright as the one we saw in the park last week." Nathaniel chuckled, recalling their day at the park, a day filled with shared stories, laughter, and a deepening bond. "I remember it well. You captured that moment perfectly. You have a real gift, you know?" Sam beamed at the compliment, his confidence visibly swelling. As Nathaniel continued to encourage the kids, he couldn't help but notice the joy radiating from them. It was as if each visit was healing a piece of his broken heart, filling the emptiness left by Daniel's absence. Later that week, Nathaniel met with Julia, his assistant, in his office. He could sense her concern as she looked at him over the rim of her glasses. "Nathaniel," she started cautiously, "I've noticed how much time you're spending at the orphanage. I just want to ensure this is healthy for you." He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Julia, being there brings me joy. I feel a connection, especially with Sam. It's like I'm rediscovering a part of myself." Julia sighed, her expression softening. "I understand, but I worry that you might be opening old wounds. You lost Daniel, and while it's wonderful to help these kids, I don't want you to lose sight of your own healing." Nathaniel nodded, but he felt a flicker of determination. "I appreciate your concern, but I won't let my past dictate my future. Sam needs someone to believe in him, and I want to be that person." Julia studied him for a moment before relenting. "All right, but promise me you'll be careful. Emotions can be tricky, and I don't want you to get hurt again." As the days passed, Nathaniel's involvement at the orphanage deepened. He decided to organize an art exhibition to showcase the children's work, believing it would not only boost their confidence but also bring the community together. Excitedly, he called a meeting with the children, his heart racing with anticipation. "Listen up, everyone," he announced, clapping his hands to gather their attention. "I have an exciting idea. We're going to have an art exhibition right here at the orphanage." The room erupted in cheers, and Sam jumped up, his eyes wide with excitement. "Really? We can show everyone our art?" "Absolutely," Nathaniel replied, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "I want each of you to create something special for the exhibition. We'll invite the community, and I promise, it will be a day to remember." As the children began to brainstorm their ideas, Nathaniel felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He was no longer just a wealthy man living in solitude. He was a mentor, a friend, and a source of hope for these kids. The planning for the event brought Julia and Nathaniel closer, too. She caught him after the meeting, her demeanor lighter. "You really have a way with them, Nathaniel. It's wonderful to see you so alive again. It's like you're lighting a spark not just in them, but in yourself as well." "Thank you, Julia. I just want them to know they're talented and worth believing in," he replied, a soft smile gracing his lips. As the day of the exhibition approached, anticipation filled the air. The children worked tirelessly on their pieces, and Nathaniel felt a swell of pride as he watched their creativity flourish. Sam, in particular, poured his heart into a painting that spoke of hope and dreams. a vivid sunset that reflected the bond they had formed. On the day of the exhibition, the orphanage buzzed with energy. The walls were lined with colorful artworks, and the air was filled with laughter and chatter as families from the community arrived. Nathaniel stood beside Sam, who was nervously fidgeting with his hands. "Remember, just be yourself. Everyone is here to see your talent," Nathaniel reassured him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. As the visitors admired the artwork, Nathaniel felt a warmth in his heart. For the first time in years, he saw a future filled with love, creativity, and a sense of belonging. Sam's artwork drew a crowd, and Nathaniel couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of joy as he watched the boy shine. "This is amazing. You're an incredible artist, Sam," one visitor exclaimed, causing the boy to blush with pride. With every smile and every compliment, Nathaniel realized that this was not just an exhibition. It was a celebration of life and the connections they had forged. It was a reminder that even in the depths of grief, love could bloom anew. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the orfanato, Nathaniel Carter received the news that would shake the very foundation of his newfound purpose. He sat in his plush armchair in the office of the orfanato, the walls adorned with happy drawings from the children, when Julia, his ever-concerned assistant, walked in, her expression grave. "Nathaniel," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "we need to talk. I just heard from the board. The orfanato is facing severe financial issues. They're considering selling the building." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Nathaniel's heart sank. He thought of Sam and the other children who had found joy and creativity in this space. Sell the orfanato? But what will happen to the kids? His voice was barely above a whisper, filled with disbelief. "I don't know. They might get separated, placed in different homes." "It's a nightmare," Julia replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We can't let that happen, Nathaniel. You have to do something." Nathaniel leaned forward, his brow furrowing with determination. "You're right. We can't stand by and watch this place, this home, be taken away from them. We need to raise funds. We need to show the community what this orfanato means." Julia nodded, her expression shifting from despair to hope. "You have the resources, Nathaniel. We can organize a charity event, get people involved, show them the talent of these children, especially Sam. He's incredible." That night, Nathaniel couldn't sleep. The thought of Sam losing his home, losing his friends, gnawed at him. He lay awake, envisioning the art pieces Sam had created, the way his eyes lit up whenever he spoke about his dreams of becoming an artist. That morning, he called a meeting with the orfanato staff and the local community leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen," Nathaniel began, standing at the front of the small, crowded room, "I've gathered you here today because we have a crisis on our hands. The orfanato is in danger of being sold, which means these children could be separated. We cannot let this happen." A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd. Nathaniel could see the faces of the staff, the teachers, and community members, all sharing the same worry. "We need to act fast. I propose we organize a charity event, an art exhibition showcasing the talent of our children. Let's raise the funds we need to save this place." One of the teachers, Ms. Ramirez, spoke up. "That's a wonderful idea, Mr. Carter. The kids have so much talent, and they would love the chance to show their work. But we'll need volunteers and resources." "I'm willing to put in my time and effort," Julia chimed in, her voice steady. "We can reach out to local businesses for donations and support. We just need to get the word out." With determination and collective effort, the planning began. Nathaniel poured his heart into organizing the event, reaching out to local artists and businesses, all while encouraging the children to create pieces that reflected their experiences and dreams. He spent hours at the orfanato, working side by side with Sam. "Nathaniel, do you really think people will come?" Sam asked one afternoon, nervously fiddling with his paintbrush. "Absolutely, Sam. Your art is special. People will want to see it," Nathaniel replied, kneeling beside him. "You have a gift, and this is your chance to share it. As the day of the event approached, excitement filled the air. The children worked tirelessly, and Nathaniel found himself more invested than ever. He was no longer just a wealthy man seeking solace. He had become a mentor, a guide, and perhaps a father figure. On the eve of the charity event, Nathaniel stood in the empty gallery of the orfanato, looking at the colorful canvases that adorned the walls. Each piece told a story, each brushstroke echoed with the laughter and dreams of the children. "This is it, Sam," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "We're going to make a difference. Together." Sam grinned, a glimmer of hope shining in his eyes. "I can't wait to show everyone." With that, Nathaniel felt a surge of determination. They were fighting for a cause that mattered, for the children who had become a part of his life. He was ready to do whatever it took to ensure that the orfanato remained a place of love and creativity, a sanctuary for children like Sam, who deserved to have a home. Nathaniel stood at the front of the elegantly decorated hall, a soft spotlight illuminating his figure as he gazed out at the crowd gathered for the charity event. The room buzzed with anticipation, the air thick with a mixture of hope and determination. He took a deep breath, feeling the familiar pang of anxiety in his chest, but this time, it was accompanied by a sense of purpose. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady but soft, "thank you all for coming tonight. Your presence here not only supports the orphans of this community, but also signifies a commitment to love and compassion." He paused, allowing his words to settle in. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on him. He glanced over at Sam, who stood off to the side, his youthful face beaming with pride. Nathaniel felt a surge of emotion. This boy had become a beacon of light in his life, and he was determined to protect that light. "Many of you may know that the future of the Maplewood Orphanage is uncertain," he continued, his tone growing more serious. "We are facing the potential loss of this home for children who have already lost so much. But together, we have the power to change that." The audience murmured, a wave of concern washing over them. Nathaniel pushed forward, driven by the urgency of the situation. "This isn't just about bricks and mortar. It's about the lives of these children. It's about their dreams, their futures. We cannot let them be sold off like property." A middle-aged woman in the front row raised her hand, her brow furrowed. "But Nathaniel, what can we do? It's a large sum of money, and the investors are determined." Nathaniel nodded, acknowledging her concern. "I understand, and it's true that the task ahead is daunting. But I believe that together, we can raise the necessary funds. We can organize events, reach out to local businesses, and appeal to the hearts of those who care." As he spoke, the audience began to nod in agreement, the energy in the room shifting. They were beginning to see that there was hope in their collective action. Julia, standing beside Nathaniel, leaned in and whispered, "You're doing great. Just keep them engaged." Her encouragement fueled his conviction. "I'm not just asking for donations," Nathaniel pressed on, his voice rising with passion. "I'm asking for a commitment to ensuring that every child has a safe place to grow, to dream, and to be loved. These children are not just a statistic, they are our future." The audience erupted in applause, their resolve solidifying. Nathaniel's heart raced. He could see their determination begin to take shape. "Let's show them that we care," he urged, his eyes scanning the crowd. "Let's come together as a community, not just for the sake of the orphanage, but for each other. We have the power to make a difference, and it starts tonight." Just as he finished, a tall man in a suit, who had been sitting quietly at the back, stood up. "I have a proposal," he called out, his voice booming. "I can match every dollar raised tonight, up to a certain limit, but I need to see that you all are truly committed." Gasps echoed through the crowd, and Nathaniel felt a rush of adrenaline. This was the kind of support they needed. "Thank you. That's incredible," he exclaimed, his voice filled with gratitude. "Let's show him that we are committed." The applause grew louder, a wave of enthusiasm surging through the hall. Emotions ran high as the audience rallied together, their collective spirit igniting a fire of hope. As Nathaniel stepped down from the podium, Julia approached him, her eyes gleaming with admiration. "You really connected with them. I think we might actually have a chance." "I hope so," Nathaniel replied, his heart still racing. "But we can't let up now. We have to keep this momentum going." Just then, Sam approached, his small frame radiating excitement. "Mr. Carter, that was amazing. I can't believe how many people are here to help us." Nathaniel knelt down to Sam's level, his expression earnest. "It's because of you, Sam. You inspired all of us. We're doing this for you and every child in that orphanage." Sam's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in us. I'll do whatever I can to help." Nathaniel smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "And that's exactly what we need, everyone doing their part. Together, we can save the orphanage." With renewed determination, Nathaniel and Sam exchanged a look of understanding, both realizing that this fight was about more than just bricks and mortar. It was about love, community, and the promise of a brighter future for those who needed it the most. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the small community center, Nathaniel sat in the back of the room, watching as the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The chairs were filled with local residents, their faces a mix of concern and determination. In the front, Sam stood nervously, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. Nathaniel could see the fear in the boy's eyes. It mirrored his own feelings of vulnerability from months earlier. "Sam, you can do this," Nathaniel whispered, leaning forward slightly, trying to instill some confidence in the boy. "Just speak from your heart." Taking a deep breath, Sam stepped up to the microphone. His hands trembled slightly, but his gaze fixed on the audience, who had gathered to listen to the plea for their beloved orphanage. Hi everyone," he stammered at first. "I'm Sam, and I live at the orphanage. It's my home." His voice cracked slightly, and he paused, glancing toward Nathaniel, who offered an encouraging nod. "Before I met Mr. Carter," Sam continued, mustering courage, "I thought I'd never have a real family again. I lost my parents, and I thought I would always be alone." He took another deep breath, feeling the weight of their attention. But then Nathaniel came, and he showed me that family isn't just about blood. It's about love and support. He helped me find my passion for art, and he cares for us kids like we're his own. A murmur of sympathy rippled through the crowd, and Nathaniel's heart swelled with pride. He could see the impact Sam was making, the authenticity of his words connecting with the hearts of everyone present. "I don't want to lose my home," Sam continued, his voice growing stronger. "And I don't want to lose my friends. We all have dreams, and the orphanage gives us a chance to chase them. Please, help us keep it open." His eyes sparkled with unshed tears, but he held them back, looking desperately around the room. The audience was silent for a moment, absorbing Sam's heartfelt speech. Then, an elderly woman in the front row stood up, her voice trembling but resolute. "Sam, dear, we understand. You're not alone. We're all in this together." The room erupted into a chorus of agreement, the community rallying behind the boy's plea. As the crowd began to murmur amongst themselves, Nathaniel felt a surge of hope. He knew that this was a turning point not just for the orphanage, but for all of them. In the back, Julia was also moved, her eyes glistening with emotion. She stood up and spoke next, her voice steady and clear. "I lost my brother years ago, and I remember how important it was to have a place that felt like home. We cannot let this happen. We have to do everything we can to save the orphanage." The audience clapped and cheered, their spirits lifting with every word spoken. Nathaniel stood up, his heart racing with a newfound determination. "I'll match every dollar raised for the orphanage," he declared, projecting his voice over the crowd. "Together, we can make a difference. Let's turn this around." Cheers erupted from the audience as they started to brainstorm ideas for fundraising. Nathaniel watched as people began to rally together, discussing bake sales, car washes, and local art auctions. The energy in the room was electric, and he felt a sense of belonging that he hadn't felt in years. Sam looked at Nathaniel, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief on his face. "Do you really mean it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Absolutely, Sam," Nathaniel replied, his eyes twinkling with warmth. "We're going to save this place together. You have my word." As the meeting continued, the community members began to rise, sharing their own stories of loss, hope, and resilience. Nathaniel realized that they were not just fighting to save an orphanage. They were building a family, one that embraced every member, no matter their history. And as Sam stood there, surrounded by the support of the community, Nathaniel knew that they were all beginning to heal together, one heartfelt story at a time. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the orphanado, Nathaniel stood outside, his heart racing with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The community's efforts had paid off, and the orphanado was saved. A sense of fulfillment washed over him, but it was more than just relief. It was the feeling of belonging that he had long yearned for. Nathaniel watched as children laughed and played in the yard. Their joy was infectious, and for the first time in years, he felt a genuine smile tugging at his lips. He recalled the days when laughter filled his own home, memories that now felt distant. But standing here, amidst the vibrant energy of the orphanado, he felt a flicker of hope. "Mr. Carter," Sam called out, running towards him with a wide grin, his face flushed with excitement. "Did you hear? We did it. We saved the orphanado." Nathaniel knelt down, meeting Sam's gaze. "I did hear, buddy. I'm so proud of you and everyone else. Your speech really touched people's hearts." Sam beamed, his eyes sparkling. "I just told them what it meant to us. I thought about how much I wanted to keep painting and how much this place means to all of us." "You spoke from the heart, and it made a difference," Nathaniel encouraged, feeling a swell of admiration for the boy. "You have a gift, Sam. Never forget that." As they stood together, a familiar figure approached. Julia, Nathaniel's assistant, had been instrumental in organizing the community support for the orphanado. She walked up to them, her expression a mixture of relief and joy. "I still can't believe it's really happening. We're keeping the orphanado," she exclaimed, her voice filled with emotion. "I know. It's amazing."
Sam replied, turning to Julia.
"Thank you for everything you did." Julia knelt down beside Sam, her eyes softening. "You were the one who inspired everyone, Sam. Your courage was contagious. I think you made more of an impact than you realize." Nathaniel watched the interaction, feeling a sense of warmth spread through him. He had never seen Julia this animated, and it was clear that the experience had changed her, too. "Julia, you've been incredible," he said, turning to her. "Thank you for believing in this. You've brought our community together in a way I never thought possible." Julia smiled, her cheeks slightly flushed. "We did it together, Nathaniel. You've changed so much since you started coming here. You've brought hope not just to Sam, but to all of us." "Speaking of hope," Nathaniel said, glancing back at Sam, "I think it's time we celebrate this victory properly. What do you say we throw a little party?" "A party? Really?" Sam's eyes widened with excitement. "Absolutely. We can invite everyone from the community, friends, and all of you kids. It'll be a celebration of what we've accomplished together." Sam jumped up and down in delight. "Yes, I can show everyone my new painting." Julia chuckled, looking between the two of them. "I'll help you organize it. We can do it right here at the orphanado." As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, Nathaniel felt a deep sense of gratitude. The orphanado had become a second home to him, and the bonds he had formed here were more meaningful than he could have ever imagined. Later, as they began planning the party, Nathaniel turned to Sam, his voice softer. "You know, Sam, I've been thinking about how much I've gained from our friendship. You've helped me heal in ways I didn't know I needed." Sam looked up, sincerity etched on his young face. "You helped me too, Mr. Carter. I didn't think anyone would care about me, but you did." You made me feel like I belong. Nathaniel's heart swelled, and he placed a hand on Sam's shoulder. You will always belong here, Sam. Not just to this orphanado, but to all of us. Your family now. As the evening wore on and the preparations began, Nathaniel, Sam, and Julia worked side by side, laughter and chatter filling the air. In that moment, Nathaniel realized that he had not just saved the orphanado. He had found a new family, one that would help him navigate the journey of life, love, and healing. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the orphan's home, now bustling with excitement and laughter. Nathaniel Carter stood in the center of the yard, surveying the scene before him. Colorful decorations adorned the trees, and tables were laden with homemade treats, each one a labor of love from the community members who had come together to celebrate the success of their efforts. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with the joyful sounds of children playing and families mingling, a stark contrast to the solitary life Nathaniel had known for so long. "Hey, Mr. Carter!" a voice chimed, breaking Nathaniel from his reverie. He turned to see Sam running towards him, his face aglow with enthusiasm. "Are you ready for the surprise?"
Surprise.
Nathaniel asked, a mixture of curiosity and fondness in his voice. "What surprise do you have in store for me today?" Sam giggled, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "You'll see. Just wait a little longer." As the festivities unfolded, Nathaniel felt a warmth spreading within him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. He watched as Sam darted off to join his friends, the boys' laughter echoing in the air like a sweet melody. Just then, Julia approached him, her eyes shining with pride. "You did a wonderful job organizing this, Nathaniel," she said, her voice warm and genuine. "The kids are having the time of their lives." "Thank you, Julia," Nathaniel replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. "But it's not just me. It's everyone who believed in this place and in these kids. I feel like I finally belong somewhere." Julia smiled softly, a hint of understanding in her gaze. "You've created a family here, Nathaniel. It's beautiful to see how much you've transformed, too." As the evening progressed, Nathaniel found himself drawn toward the center of the gathering where the children had set up a small stage. The excitement in the air was palpable as Sam climbed up, his cheeks flushed with anticipation. Nathaniel's heart raced with pride as he watched the boy take a deep breath, scanning the crowd. "Thank you, everyone, for coming," Sam called out, his voice clear and confident. "Today, we celebrate not just the orphan's home, but the love and support that brought us all together." The crowd erupted in applause, and Nathaniel couldn't help but smile. Sam continued, "I have a special announcement that I think will make you all very happy." He paused dramatically, looking around at the faces of the community that had rallied around them. "Mr. Carter has decided to adopt me," Sam exclaimed, his eyes shining like stars. "I'm going to be his son." Gasps filled the air, followed by a wave of cheers and applause. Nathaniel felt as though the ground had shifted beneath him. He stood frozen, a mix of disbelief and overwhelming joy coursing through him. The boy he had grown to love like a son was standing there, declaring their bond to the world. "Sam," Nathaniel finally managed to say, his voice thick with emotion. "Are you sure about this?" "Absolutely." Sam beamed, his enthusiasm infectious. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I want to be part of your family." Tears pricked at Nathaniel's eyes as he stepped forward, enveloping Sam in a warm embrace. "You have no idea how much this means to me, Sam. I've lost so much, but you filled my heart in ways I didn't think were possible." The crowd erupted into applause again, many with tears of joy streaming down their faces. Julia stood to the side, her own eyes misty as she witnessed this beautiful moment unfold. As the embrace lingered, Nathaniel whispered, "I promise to always be there for you, no matter what." Sam pulled back slightly, his expression earnest. "And I promise to be the best son ever." The laughter and cheers cascaded around them, and in that moment, Nathaniel knew his life had transformed. The mansion that once felt like a prison of memories now held the promise of new beginnings, love, and laughter. As the evening continued, the two shared stories and laughter with the community, their bond solidifying with each passing moment. Nathaniel looked around, feeling the warmth of family envelop him, and realized that though Daniel would always hold a special place in his heart, it was time to embrace this new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and the joyful chaos only a family could bring. I sincerely hope that you were enchanted by this story. I'm sure the next video that appears to you will also touch your heart. So, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next stories. A big hug and see you next time.